You love traveling.
I love traveling.
How many countries you have traveled?
Innumerable, innumerable. And you should ask me how many countries I did not visit. Actually, I covered mostly two-thirds of the globe. And in the next 5 years, I want to complete the rest. And in this year, I went to Australia to watch Melbourne, to watch Australian Open.
Which
Then
match have you watched?
I watched Djokovic, I watched Sabalenka, uh, Medvedev, and Tsitsipas. And then I went to Japan, Kyoto in the month of March, and fascinated by Blue Zones, a book written by Butner, who is a national graphic photographer. So he identified 5 blue zones. Just in a map, he identified as a blue mark ink. They're called blue zones. His name should give credit to him. I went to Okinawa, Japan, to see how people live there. And then there are 5 blue zones, as I told earlier. One is Okinawa, Japan, Ikaria, Greece, Loma Linda in California, Nicobar Island, Costa Rica, and Sardinia, Italy. So these 5 places where people live more than 100 years, a healthy life. The secret of their healthy life is they eat in moderation. When the stomach is 60% full, they stop eating. Just like Mahathir Mohamad once told, his secret of his long life, at the age of 90, he became the Prime Minister of Malaysia. He told, apart from regular exercise, his mother told him, when it tastes good, stop eating. When it tastes good, stop eating. So they eat in moderation. They live in a community. They do exercise, Tai Chi, especially in Japan. And then those people, they will have few needs in life. Most of these blue zones are in islands, away from the so-called Western civilization. So as regarding the life, I went to Japan 3 times. And I went to America more than 20 times. So what a difference I gauged between America and Japan. The Japanese live 1 decade more than Americans. Both are almost equally good economies, first and third or so. The essential difference is Japanese, they work a lot and they eat in moderation. The reverse is true in Americans. So Japanese, they won't eat red meat. Mostly they eat seafood. And then they won't take much of dairy products like curd and all that what we eat. And they work a lot, long hours. And then I asked one Japanese guy, how could you become world leaders in electronics, world leaders in automobiles, over a short period after the devastation in the Second World War, Nagasaki and Hiroshima and Tokyo? Then that guy told me, we asked ourselves 4 questions. Why? Why not? Why not I? Why not now? They don't know much English, but why he is talking in a broken language? He told very beautifully, why? Why all this happened? This happened because we tried to invade China. We want to meddle with America in the war, in the Second World War II. This happened. So we will not introspect themselves. Then why not? The second question. Why not we rebuild Japan? Then third question is, why not I? Not the Prime Minister Abiy who should do this. Why not I? Part of rebuilding Japan. Not the Prime Minister, not the President. And the fourth important question, why not now? Which we Indians should learn. These 4 questions made what modern day Japan is.
In fact, maybe these concepts have helped them to come out after that nuclear attack also. We just say that they have come back, but we don't say how they have come back.
Not only that, in Japanese, they teach the West how to do endoscopy, how to do
Jai Jagannath. Welcome to my podcast, The Healing Monk. Before we go on to our next episode, I would like to thank you from the core of my heart for watching and appreciating our previous episode. At the same time, I would like to request you to watch this full episode, which is going to definitely interesting, and do subscribe so that we can bring you more and more such episodes. Today, we have one of the most go-to doctor, or as doctors, I would say, the we would like to say like the doctor whom we want to be, and he is Dr. Peda Veerraju garu, senior gastroenterologist. In fact, the first DM gastroenterologist of Andhra Pradesh. More than that, he is a great human being. He has a different facets of life. And today, I am going to bring out those facets of life, what a doctor should have, which will make the life of a doctor more simple, more what you call enjoyable, rather than having a busy schedule thing. Welcome, sir.
Namaste, viewers. Thank
How are
you.
you, sir?
Thank you, Suman, for inviting me for your podcast program. Tell
How are
me.
you, sir?
Fine.
So, how is life?
Very fine. So now I'm 70. So at the age of 60, I took a policy decision, that's Suman. The policy decision I took was no new investments, no new loans, and no new friends. And at the age of 65, I took another policy decision to win away from complex procedures like ERCPs. I started ERCP in Visakhapatnam for the first time, like critically ill patients and complicated people, trying to lead a simple life. When I reached 70, so my focus now is on tennis, travel, Telugu literature, teaching in the medical college, and treating outpatients. So I'm
5 T's, you mean? 5
so
T's.
to make life very simple.
So, from the 5 T's, let us discuss about your teaching, sir. Like, first, we would like to hear about your uh, schooling and your early life. How was it?
So I'm from a small village in East Godavari, the neighboring district. My village is on the river Godavari, on the bank of river Godavari. A small village. There's no bus route. At that time, there's no power. School, elementary school and high school was there in my school. And my parents are not educated. My sisters, two sisters, studied up to SSLC and stopped. So nobody to guide me. So, of course, I studied in a JP school, Jilla Parishad High School, with Telugu medium as my medium instruction, mother language. So, the biggest thing that happened in my life was, till the 8th class, I was the king in the school. I was first in the school. All subjects. There were 6 subjects at that time: English, Telugu, Hindi, Science, Social Studies, and Mathematics. All subjects, I'm top. And one day, one gentleman, Mr. Bhamidipati Prabhakar Murthy, he came to my class. And then when he came, trouble started. He started getting first mark in mathematics because his father was mathematics teacher. He was staying in front of my house. Then Spardhaye Vardhate Vidya. So when there is competition, you will develop further. So competition breeds success. Half yearly of 10th, he stood first in Telugu. Then that's how I developed interest in Telugu. I started reading Parijata Paranam, Gajendra Mokshan, all the poems in Telugu. I became well versed in Telugu. I used to by heart Telugu poems and stood first in Telugu in the next exam. And then stood first in all subjects in my 10th final exam. And then the greatest thing I achieved at that time, which without my knowledge, was I was 11th rank in the combined state of Andhra Pradesh. And my school first time got a rank out of the school inception. That's how the competition with Bhimidi Party, the
You
boy,
give all credit to him.
not my parents, not my teachers. Usually people will tell my parents are responsible to what I am because my father knows that I'm a good student. When I got a watch gifted by my school, when I stood for 11th, when got the 11th rank in the state, then he asked me, how you got the watch? Then I told him I stood first in the class and I got 11th rank. Then he understood that I am a good student. So,
how you decided to be a doctor?
I did not decide. Then I joined intermediate in VSM college in Ramachandrapuram. I used to stay in my sister's house nearby village. I used to cycle to the college. 3 months later, one day, one gentleman came to my house in my village. He is Dr. Rudraya Chaudhary. He is a PhD in history. He is the right hand of Raivaram Munusu, who is a politician who started the college. He came to my house to solicit the vote of my grandfather, who is the bank president. My grandfather's brother was the village sarpanch for 3 consecutive terms. It was a political family. So he came in an ambassador car. My roads are so bad, they can't go back. So I stayed in my village. He came for dinner to my house. My mother cooked chicken, some sweet. Sweets are very famous in East Godavari. Then I went there to give water to the gentleman. He was vice principal of our college. So when I gave and to give water, he asked me, what are you doing? Well, who is he? He asked me my father. He said, my elder son. So what are you doing? I'm studying intermediate in your college. Which group? MPC. Why did you choose MPC? Then I said, I got 87% marks in mathematics. I got 73 in science. That's why I chose MPC. What do you want to become after doing intermediate? I want to study engineering. Then how many engineers are there in a village? 2 engineers. One is John and another is Abraham. What are they doing? So they are waiting for a job. They didn't get the job. Then he told me, so you want to be another jobless engineer in your third jobless engineer in your village. He said that. Then my job is over. I came back after serving water. Next day, I went to the college. What discussion took place between my grandfather, my father, and Dr. Rudraya Chaudhary? Next day morning, in the college, my teacher, lecturer in physics, he got me up. You are transferred to so-and-so section. This is by PC. 30% ladies are there in the school, in that class. I don't have books, botany book, no geology book. He came home, asked my mother to give money to buy those books. Without telling anything to my parents, I continued BPC. That's how I became a doctor. After BPC, you will write entrance. I got the seat for the first time in Andhra Medical College because my passion at that time did not die. I wanted to become first in the class. I stood first in the college also. And then
Which year you joined?
69. MBBS 69, 70, 71 is my intermediate. I joined in 72.
70.
Andhra Medical College. Then after joining Andhra Medical College, this competitive spirit suddenly went off. What happened was, at that time, Loyola College in Vijayawada is a very famous college. 30% of my students in the college, 150 batch, are from Loyola College. And around 10 of them, ladies, are from St. Teresa College, very famous in Eluru. And around 10 from AVN College, which is again a very famous college in Visakhapatnam. And around 5 are from St. Joseph College. And most of the students are from St. Aloysius, very, very good schools. And I am from a small village in a small school, VSM College in Ramachandrapuram. I thought I can't compete. So once that competitive spirit has gone down, I started getting marks 55, 60 to pass anatomy, to pass physiology, and then to pass pathology. So suddenly my wife turned. My life has changed. So when I fell in love with my wife, Dr. Rama, so I told my grandfather and my father that I want to marry her. At that time, in our village, the dowry system is very prevalent. And I was getting matches, 10 acres of land, some 2 lakhs cash, and so much tulas of gold. And Samalkota, there were 2 matches. And my grandfather told me, so why don't you marry his relative? At that time, my father committed a mistake. For his friend's sake, he signed some document for his loan, and that friend died. And we have to sell 2 acres of land after my joining medical college to clear that debt. But that taught me a lesson that I should not sign any guarantee letter. I should not give loan to anybody. So that taught me a big lesson. That is, by the way. So what happened was, then I told my grandfather, I will marry this girl. I will not take dowry. Then how will you marry the younger, my sister? So then I told him, you have 2 acres of land. You give it to her. Then your brother, my younger brother, my father has got 2 acres of land. Give it to him. I will not take a single paise from your property. Then I married her. Then I realized that I have to live on my own legs. So started again competing with my friends in the medical college. So pathology, I appeared for the gold medal. I did not get, but I was in the first 10 in the class. By the time I reached final year, I was in the first 4 or 5 in the class. And what happened, what changed in my life in the second time is when I wrote the UPS exam, I went for the interview in Delhi. And one Dr. M.L. Bhatia, who was the uh, professor of cardiology in All India Institute, and then he was the family doctor to Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister of India. He was the interview board. And I was that day, the 3 days interview, that day I was getting the maximum marks in the whole country. Then I was asked questions by the SPM guy, the community medicine guy, and then one gynecologist, she asked about questions, 2, 3 questions, I answered. Then this man, Bhatia, asked me 2 questions. And that gave me immense confidence in life. The 2 questions are, patient is having heart disease, patient is having hemiplegia. It is not cerebral embolism. What is the heart disease? In 5 seconds, I told phallostetrology. And he shook hands with me for a great answer. Then the second question he asked said, he told me then, I will give you the maximum marks in the last 3 days, will be number 1 in the country if you answer this question. He asked the second question. Patient is having infective endocarditis. Patient is having pericardial rub. What are the possibilities? I told him 3 possibilities. One is embolic glomerulonephritis. And second thing is myocardial abscess. And third thing is when embolus has gone to the coronary arteries, developed myocardial infarction, Dressler syndrome, pericardial rub. And he hugged me because his postgraduates were not able to answer these questions, 2 questions. He told me. Then he gave me the maximum marks and told me, you fellow will not join this job. You will get a good seat in some postgraduate institute. You will not join this job, but I am giving the maximum marks for this day as well as the last 3 days. That's how I stood first, not only in the class, but the country. That gave me immense confidence, and I wrote PGI entrance. And then I got a seat in medicine, internal medicine. At that time in PGI, it was 1+2. So because the 1+2, and I got a seat here, I came back to Andhra Medical College. 3 things I learned from 3 teachers, 3 great teachers. I worked with Sivaram Krishna Rao, what I learned from him. Then I worked at V. Hanumantarao, who was, who became the superintendent of KGH. I worked with him as assistant professor of medicine for 2.5 years. And he taught me about discipline. He used to come to the hospital, daughter on time at that time, 8:30. 8:30, 2:30, we used to stay in the hospital. And then he taught me honesty. He never used to take a single pie from any patient in KGH. So 2 things I learned from that V. Hanumantarao was discipline and honesty. So this I maintained for 25 years when I was in service. So I used to go on time. 8:30 is 8:30, 9 is 9.
All your students, whomever I have asked, they will tell, sir will exactly 9 means sir will reach 9. I have heard one incident. In fact, one of your students once told me that one of the VIP, some police personnel or someone, exactly reached around 8:45 when you were going to the hospital for endoscopy. Then you convinced him that
I did not convince him. That's not VIP. He is a politician. He took an appointment the previous day. I asked him to come for endoscopy. Janeswar was the physician who wrote the endoscope. And then I told him come at 7:30. He's a politician. I will not tell the name. Then he did not come on time. At 8:30 he called me from some other place. I'm coming, please wait. So I will not wait. I have to go to the hospital at 9 o'clock. Then he told me after 15 minutes again call again. I was about to go. He told me, why don't you go and sign and come back and do endoscopy? You come to the hospital, I will do endoscopy free. He's a politician, not. And then one day, this is the importance of discipline. One day, one patient of mine, she needs surgery. She's a teacher. So I asked her to bring her husband to discuss about surgery. I wanted to refer the patient to Nizams to do a colectomy for colitis. So that fellow, poor fellow, came at 5 minutes to 9 to my clinic, all the way from Narsipatnam. So I told him, I can't discuss with you now. It will take 10-15 minutes. I'm going to the hospital. You come in the evening. At the time the hospital timing was 9 to 2. So I went to the hospital. Evening, when I was there in the clinic at 5 o'clock, that poor fellow is sitting outside my clinic. I called him inside. Then he told me one thing. Doctor, don't get upset because I was waiting here so many. I'm not worried about that you sent me back. No, I don't want to discuss anything with you. You have so much respect towards the institution. You went on time. Same respect you will have towards my wife. So whatever you good for your wife, you do. Don't discuss with me. You went away. So that's, suppose you are disciplined, that's what your patients respect you. That's what I learned. The value of discipline in life. Of course, honesty, you know the value of honesty. The third thing I learned is from my teacher, that CM Habibullah, Padmasri Awadi, to excuse. I learned gastroenterology, but more than gastroenterology, I learned a lot of things in life. He used to tell me, Allah told, he's a Muslim, to excuse anybody who commits a mistake also, who commits a blunder also, who harms you also, you excuse him. Then I didn't understand that philosophy. Actually, he was manhandled by one of his professors in Guntur. That I was told, I will not tell the name again. Then all the Muslims in Guntur came and told him, we'll cut his right hand if you allow me. Then he told, he's my teacher. In a rage, in some anger, he did like this. I will go away from Chittur, from here to Chittur. Don't do anything to him. He excused his teacher, who manhandled him in the ward in front of the students. That's one example. Second example is, when I was finally a student in gastroenterology, so one day one Muslim patient came and abused him in the filthiest language in Urdu and tore the papers and thrown at him because he's worried that his disease is not getting cured. Then Dr. Habibullah asked me to, he's going away. I call him again because he's annoyed that the date for colonoscopy is late. Then he asked me to make a new OP ticket. I made a new OP ticket, gave the earliest date, and he did colonoscopy himself and gave me the keys for giving the samples. Then I asked him, he abused me in the filthiest language. Why are you doing this? Then he told me, you should learn to excuse people who commit mistakes. If you don't do that, they'll be like a tumor in your brain and eat you. So learn this. It took me 20-30 years to learn this, to excuse a person who harms you.
It's a difficult thing, in fact.
Very difficult in life, but very useful philosophy told me.
Another thing you once told one of your students, he had told me that you be good to good people and you should be very good to bad people.
Very bad people. True. Then your problem is solved. But generally in life, what I teach my students is, you should always hit in life. Just like in tennis, you know that you're a tennis player. If you hit, that fellow will send. If you send, that fellow will hit. So always hit. And in general in life, what I learned is, you should always call the shots. If you don't call the shots, you should be prepared to take the shots. Always call the shots in life. And of course, patients will be in disadvantaged position. What I do is, when a patient comes to me, when I we'll discuss when we treatment. When he comes from he thinks he is a VIP, so I'll put him down to my level. He comes from a poor background from Orissa, from Chhattisgarh. I'll lift him up and then talk to him, because talking to in the same level brings out good history, and can make a diagnosis.
Here also, I have one incident which I came to know about you. Once, one IS officer or someone called your PA that I need a called you that
Call me.
called you that I need appointment. Or
I will not give, because and I'll ask
PA
him.
called you.
No, the PA called me.
Especially even in our professions also, respect is most important thing that.
These are three things I learned from the West. When I went to Vienna, the three things I learned from the first visit itself is be on time for any meeting, any function. Number two, build a team building, because individually we are great in India, but in a team we will not work. We will try to pull other person down. And the third and most important thing is we don't respect the other human being. We think we are great. That's why the second board I have kept in my clinic is, please leave your ego and footwear outside. So they will not talk, because once they will have ego, they cannot communicate properly. Then I cannot make a diagnosis. Only when they think that they are a patient and comes to my clinic, I can make a correct diagnosis, take a proper history. One day, I will not tell the name again. One senior IA officer came from Delhi. He came from Delhi. He is the son-in-law of a politician. That politician brought him. Then he is having bleeding per rectum. Then I told him, you have to get a colonoscopy done. Then he said, I am very busy. I have to go to Bangalore. So come back from the marriage in Bangalore and I will do a colonoscopy after 2 days. No, I am very busy. The Prime Minister has got a meeting next week. I can't come next week. Then go and get a colonoscopy done in Medanta, in Gurgaon. I will write a letter. I wrote a letter. And he did not bother about that, because he thought he's a VIP. And then what happened is, 6 months later, he had a recurrence of bleeding. And when he went with my letter to the Gurgaon hospital, my friend saw him with an advanced malignancy of the colon, the secondaries in the liver, and he suffered hell for another 3 months or 6 months and died. Because if you think that you are a VIP, this is what is going to happen.
Disease will not think that. No?
Disease will not think. Disease will not respect the IAS officer, will not respect a minister or chief minister. Disease is equal to everybody. That's people don't understand.
We have to respect our body. We have to.
People don't understand two things in life. Though they're busy with their profession, they're busy with their study, they're busy with their family, earning money. They'll forget two things in life. Very simple things in life. One is health is wealth. They don't bother. They forget. The second important thing they forget is prevention is better than cure. The two facts of life, I'll try keep reminding my patients every day. Every day.
People want to be like, make things happen simple. We want to look good, but we don't want to drink more water. We want to look good, but we don't want to do exercise. We want to look good, but we don't want to leave the habit of junk foods.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. That's
so people don't understand. Suppose if you work hard, you will become rich. Some people become rich. Other way also, the different story. If you work hard, you will become rich. If you work hard, you will be more knowledgeable. You will get knowledge. If you work hard, you will be famous. But people don't understand. If you work hard, you will be healthy. So hard work brings health. So people think that they work for 2-3 hours in the morning. I cannot do anything. I don't believe in that.
Correct, sir. What has been the best experience of yours as a teacher?
As a teacher, I started teaching in medical college as a postgraduate in 80. So first 10 years I taught MBBS students mostly. And then next 10 years I taught postgraduates. Mur Krishna was my student as a postgraduate. And then even present day the principal of Andhra Medical College, my student as a post I did. Then last 20 years I'm teaching DM gastroenterology fellows. That is after MD. And even now I'm teaching on Sundays because I am passionate about teaching. So that difference I noticed from those days, this day is when I was teaching 40 years back, the students at that time used to read textbooks. Then they listen to the teachers very attentively. Now the students read guides and they are bothered about investigations. They are not bothered about clinical medicine, and then they don't listen to teachers very attentively. They think everything is in net, everything is in books. Why should they listen? But they don't understand that if you read a book or you go to internet, you will get knowledge. If you listen to experienced teachers, they'll share their experience. Knowledge will tell you what to do. Experience will tell you what not to do.
Not true.
In life, what not to do is more important than what to do.
Exactly. In like one of my teachers used to tell, it is not important that you give radiation. You should know when you should not give radiation, or your radiation will not give benefit to the patient. That is more important than giving radiation. So that's a very important message that all the students and uh, all the students of this generation should take home. That
Yeah.
we
And
should
the
learn what not to do, and that brings out of experience.
second thing what happened was in the last 2, 3 decades, earlier we were following the British system of medicine. My teachers are Britishers. We were under British rule for a quite long time. And the college, in the initial principals and superintendents are from uh, UK. So the British system of medicine is they take a good history, examine the patient, do proper investigations, limited investigations, and treat. Unfortunately, in the last few years, people are following the American way of medicine, wherein they first do investigation and then see the patient. The problem with this type of approach is it is very expensive, and sometimes you can miss a diagnosis if you don't examine properly. So the art of clinical medicine is slightly dying down. And the second thing that is happening is the faith, the belief in the doctor. Because of these investigations and costly investigations, costly inpatient care, what happened is the patients started suspecting doctor. Earlier, when I was a medical student, there's so much respect to the doctor in the society. When I was going from the hostel to the college, suppose you miss a bus, my college bus, I used to go in route number 13 bus. And when I'm carrying a overall, people used to get up to offer me a seat. When used to go to Ilam Hall or a Jagadamba medical student, the manager used to come out and call me and give the seat in the theater. That was the respect a doctor used to enjoy in 70s, those days. Now you can understand the importance of this respect is, especially in our specialty. In your oncology, mostly hard, black and white. In our specialty, 50% diseases are functional. That means if they believe the patient, we have to cure the patient by our words. If you believe the doctor is good, you will do good for the patient. That belief itself will cure the disease. Sometimes on some of the patients who get my appointment, 50% disease cured. The appointment takes 2 months. Once he's waiting outside for 1 and 2 hours, once it comes inside, another 25% is cured. So when I talk to him, another 20% is cured. I need not take medicines. I did not write medicine. So that is some because 50% diseases, like for example, tension headache, irritable bowel syndrome, functional dyspepsia, non-cardiac chest pain, they are the belief in the doctor cures that patient. Unfortunately, the present generation of doctors, they don't understand that. The patients will come to for a lot of knowledge from the net, from YouTube, from Google, and they try to exhibit their knowledge. And I tell my patients if they come with Google or YouTube knowledge is, if you read, you'll get half knowledge. Half knowledge is more dangerous than no knowledge.
The like the patients usually expect their doctor to be more patient in hearing from them. Should write less medicine, should write less investigation, should cure in the first prescription only. They don't have to come again. What does a doctor expects from a patient?
So, unfortunately for me, such is not a case with me because most of my patients in the last few years are only either fans or devotees. So whatever I say, they'll follow. But as you said, in general, this is true. So what I tell them is, suppose they expect a lot of miracles because knowledge is growing fast. They think expect the cure for every disease, and especially the corporate hospital, they advertise, please heart attack, come to the hospital, it will be cured. So they'll be having false notion, any disease and every disease can be cured. Then I tell my patients, in mathematics, 2 into 3 is 6, 2 into 5 is 10, 2 minus 1 is 1. In biology, medicine is biology. 2 into 5 can be 0. 2 into 100 can be 2000 or 3000 or 4000. So some patients whom I diagnosed as cirrhosis of liver 30 years back still alive. Some people whom I diagnosed 2 years back, they died, no more. So
They are so true in cancer also.
so you can't expect the same thing. So I'll explain them this way. So most of the patients, as I told you, they listen to me, they believe me. So there's no issue.
That is so true in cancer also. Even many a times, very early stage cancers, they get relapse early, but advanced stages, they don't get
Same is
kind
true
of
in
get
heart
cured.
disease also. Some people,
Even same with the
some people with 2, 3 heart attacks, they 2, 3 bypasses, they still survive. Example was a former prime minister. And then some people with the first had a heart attack before reaching the hospital, like Punit Rajkumar, they'll die before reaching the hospital. So
what is your take on these? Like recent years, we are having young guys having the sudden heart attack and
uh,
dying. And in fact, what I have seen, I do a lot of exercise and all. Many of the people start giving me advice. Don't do this exercise. You see in the Punit Rajkumar died, so and so other died, so they have heart attack. So what is your take on that, sir?
no, no. Unless somebody is having some uh, problem in the cardiac connection, suppose some arrhythmia, those people will have problem when they do a lot of exercise. But in general, exercise is useful. Most of the heart attacks are because of physical inactivity. The heart attack, the causes are 5, 6. Physical inactivity, obesity, hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, and family history. You know that. And one of the most important is physical inactivity. So this misconception that exercise will kill is not true, except when the patient is some conduction abnormality. So those people may succumb even if you do exercise or
They
do
don't do
even if you
exercise.
do marathon, they may die. That is different. What you are talking about, that Punit Rajkumar or Dr. Makapati Rajamohan Reddy who died. What happened was during the COVID epidemic or pandemic, COVID pandemic, what happened was there was thickening of the blood. And what happened was during that period, people did not do exercise properly. There is a viscosity of the blood is increased, and post COVID, they developed cardiac problems. And that's what happened. Many of my friends also who got COVID developed
Maybe silent
MI,
blockades and
blockades, and then they
they.
had a problem. That is post COVID, a specific issue of the COVID pandemic. Not in general. This is not in general.
Uh, in your entire career, what is the best? Like you are always usually updated. You are the first person to start ERCP in Visakhapatnam, and you used to do all the advanced technologies and all that. How do you feel that these newer technologies that have come, and what is the best technology that has changed the gastroenterology practice in the present day?
So when I joined gastroenterology, actually, people were not very fond of gastroenterology. At that time, the king of specialty was cardiology, and the queen of specialty was neurology.
So why you joined
Uh,
gastroenterology? By the way?
then what happened was that was V. Satyanarayana was my teacher, Sujasa's father. He used to ask me to do neurology or cardiology, don't do gastroenterology. Then I used to tell him, the prince of specialty is gastroenterology. One day the prince will become the king. The reason why I joined gastroenterology, again, just like the glass of water which made me a doctor, is During my MD days, I used to read all the monograms. Nowadays, present generation of doctors won't read. I used to read at that time Paul Wood, the monogram in cardiology, brain neurology, some Degruschi hematology, D. Warner kidney diseases, Sherlock hepatology. At that time, I could not read one book. That is uh, Schletzinger's gastroenterology. Because the edition was old, I could not get time to read that book during my MD days. So, which my first salary, at that salary was at that time was 1800 rupees. I bought a new textbook of first salary, Schlesinger. Then first 2 3 years, I was in practice. I was a teacher in practice is allowed. So I was assistant professor of medicine. I was in my clinic. I used to read this book, Schlesinger, because I have new book I used to read, and in 1 year I could finish the book. Suddenly, the government of Andhra Pradesh announced a new seat in gastroenterology. Only one seat. The two states only one seat, and 18 people applied. And out of them, 5 are gold medalists, and 6 are best outgoing students of the different colleges all over the state. And because I read that book, why I applied is because applied gastroenterology because I read that book. I did not read cardiology, so I thought it is actually I did not want to do gastroenterology or any specialty. I wanted to become a good physician. I was practicing Maripalam. My classmate at Demudu Babu is a good friend of mine. One day, yes, he had a patient of chest pain. He treated him for 1 or 2 weeks, not relief. Then he wrote a letter to Dr. Prasad Lal, who is a cardiologist at that time, first cardiologist, I think, qualified. Then Dr. Prasad Lal, please examine and do the needful. The patient by mistake came to me with that letter. I'm a little worried. My friend did not refer the patient to me. I'm a physician. Then another, same Dr. Demudu Babu referred another patient with headache, tension headache, to Professor D. Sachinarayana. Please do the needful. That patient also came to me with that letter. Then I realized there is no future for medicine in Andhra, Visakhapatnam. I should do some specialty. And then this notification came. I finished the book. So everything coincided. That's why I applied gastroenterology. So by again accident, I became a gastroenterologist. I did not choose gastroenterology at that time. But what happened was, subsequently, gastroenterology has grown phenomenally. As you said, the things that changed gastroenterology is first upper GI endoscopy and colonoscopy, which made the diagnosis very easy. At the time before that, we used to do barium films, functional fractional test meal and all that, which are less sensitive and specific. And the second thing that happened, the rapid change that happened was the invention of ERCP and sphincterotomy, where we can remove the stone from the bile duct. We can put a stent for the jaundice. So that has changed. And I am fortunate to do the first ERCP in Visakhapatnam. The first I did in Visakhapatnam, one is I started the Department of Gastroenterology in Andhra Medical College. At that time, there was no patient, no ward, no OP, no scope, no hope. No so, hope also. Only thing that I had was no hope is no rope, no recommendation. So no hope regarding the specialty, but still we struggled, and then we built the department brick by brick, and then Murali Krishna joined, and we could take the department to the level where we started DM program. We could conduct updates, and we did the National Conference of Gastroenterology in Visakhapatnam in Port Stadium, and we could collaborate with John Hopkins Institute in USA. So we could take the department to an international level over a period of 20 years. So it's a very hard journey. I have very small, brief encounter with Murli Krishna sir. He's a great gentleman. In fact, all the students, my counterparts in gastroenterology, they all used to respect a lot. And I met him during one or two conferences, and there also I felt great. In fact, with your permission, I'll read a small uh, poem that was written by one of the uh, what do you call admirers? Yeah, admirers of Dr. Murali Krishna. I met him few times during some of the conferences, and also I met him personally in his clinic. And I was very impressed with firstly, the way he respects
other doctors because I am kind of very, very junior to him. And the way he respects the other doctors, I was kind of mesmerized by his personality. It was a great loss, and in fact, after we lost him, there was one poem was written by one of his friend, Mr. Prabal Mandi. I would like to read that. Uh, there are some people who walk this earth and leave footprints when they leave. Dr. Mur Krishna was one such colossus who did much to achieve. His needs were small, his heart was big. He would never let poor patients leave. His hands were full of magic dust. Complete healing did he conceive. His days were spent on others as much. For himself, time he did not receive. His passing has left a hollow space, and in his name, silently we grieve.
Very well later. I know Murali Krishna as a student way back in 88, 89, when he got transferred from Kakinada to Visakhapatnam in his second year in MD. I used to teach him gastroenterology at that time. He was my student. And subsequently, after his DM gastroenterology in Hyderabad, he joined me as assistant professor of gastroenterology. And we worked together for 16 long years. So I know him for 16 long years as an assistant professor. And subsequently, after my retirement, he became the head of the department of gastroenterology. And we used to work together. And he's very courageous. And then he brought the first double balloon endoscopy in India. He brought a double balloon endoscopy to India and got himself trained in Japan. That is the biggest achievement of Murali Krishna. And we could conduct the national conference of Society of Gastrointestinal Endoscopy in India in Novotel in a very fitting manner. So, in his honor, we instituted an oration in his name, P. Murali Krishna Memorial Oration, in the National Conference of Gastroenterology. So, with a big loss, not only to Visakhapatnam, but to the Department of Gastroenterology and the gastroenterology fraternity in general in India. So, his students love him and his patients adore him. So, I'm very proud that he was my student.
Yeah, also, he was your colleague for so long.
Long time.
You kind of not only mentor, but also a mentor turned friend kind of.
And we used to travel together to various countries for so many years. So now it's a big loss for me in the absence of Murali Krishna to travel to a different country.
You love traveling.
I love traveling.
How many countries you have traveled?
Innumerable. And you should ask me how many countries I did not visit. Actually, I covered mostly 2/3 of the globe. And in the next 5 years, I want to complete the rest. And in this year, I went to Australia to watch Melbourne, to watch Australian Open.
Which
Then
match have you watched?
I watched Djokovic, I watched Sabalenka, Medvedev, and Tsitsipas. And then I went to Japan, Kyoto in the month of March, and fascinated by Blue Zones, a book written by Butner, who is a national graphic photographer. So he identified 5 blue zones. Just in a map, he identified as a blue mark ink. They're called blue zones. His name should give credit to him. I went to Okinawa, Japan, to see how people live there. And then there are 5 blue zones, as I told earlier. One is Okinawa, Japan, Ikaria, Greece, Loma Linda in California, Nicobar Island, Costa Rica, and Sardinia, Italy. So these 5 places where people live more than 100 years, a healthy life. The secret of their healthy life is they eat in moderation. When the stomach is 60% full, they stop eating. Just like Mahathir Mohamad once told, his secret of his long life, at the age of 90, he became the Prime Minister of Malaysia. He told, apart from regular exercise, his mother told him, when it tastes good, stop eating. When it tastes good, stop eating. So they eat in moderation. They live in a community. They do exercise, Tai Chi, especially in Japan. And then uh, those people, they will have few needs in life. Most of these blue zones are in islands, away from the so-called Western civilization. So, as regarding the life, I went to Japan 3 times, and I went to America more than 20 times. So, what a difference I gauged between America and Japan. The Japanese live 1 decade more than Americans. Both are almost equally good economies, first and third or so. The essential difference is Japanese, they work a lot and they eat in moderation. The reverse is true in Americans. So Japanese, they won't eat red meat. Mostly they eat seafood. And then they won't take much of dairy products like curd and other what we eat. And they work a lot, long hours. And then I asked one Japanese guy, how could you become world leaders in electronics, world leaders in automobiles, over a short period after the devastation in the Second World War, Nagasaki and Hiroshima and Tokyo? Then that guy told me, we asked ourselves 4 questions. Why? Why not? Why not I? Why not now? They don't know much English, but why he is talking in a broken language? He told very beautifully, why? Why all this happened? This happened because we tried to invade China. We want to meddle with America in the war, in uh, the Second World War II. This happened. So we will not introspect themselves. Then why not? The second question. Why not we rebuild Japan? Then third question is, why not I? Not the Prime Minister Abiy, who should do this. Why not I? Part of rebuilding Japan, not the Prime Minister, not the President. And the fourth important question, why not now? Which we Indians should learn. These 4 questions made what modern day Japan is.
In fact, maybe these concepts have helped them to come out after that nuclear attack also. We just say that they have come back, but we don't say how they have come back.
Not only
The
that,
hard work they have put.
in Japanese, they teach the West how to do endoscopy, how to do a poem operation, how to do a endoscopic mucosal resection. All these are taught by Japanese to the West, not the other way. And all our endoscopes, whether it is Fusionon, Olympus, or Pentax, are our Japanese products. The Americans buy. So
And the extensive gastric surgeries were major. They are more kind of very aggressive
surgeries.
also.
And hepatocellular carcinoma, all the inventions are by Japanese. What I observed in gastroenterology in the last few years, 40 years back, when I was practicing gastroenterology, both in the government hospital as well as outside, we too lost a lot of peptic ulcers. And thanks to H. pylori eradication, now peptic ulcers have come down drastically and acid reflux is increasing. Thanks to the epidemic of obesity. The second lifestyle. The second thing I observed is earlier we used to see a lot of tuberculosis of the intestine. Now we don't see. We see Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, inflammatory bowel disease, which are very common in the West earlier, very common in Canada, Australia, and Northern Europe. Now we are seeing, to give an example, 30 years back I never used to see one case of Crohn's disease on a 1 year. Now I see Crohn's disease every week, one patient. That is because of the change in the lifestyle. Now children won't eat at home. They go fetch a pizza, burger, they eat outside, and this outside food, junk food, will harm the bacteria in the intestine. They add preservatives, they add food additives, coloring agents. These agents will spoil the good bacteria in the intestine, and there is a dysregulation of the immune system because of change in the bacterial flora. So this immune dysregulation is responsible for all these diseases. So the prevention is eat the food at home, homegrown food, and eat the vegetables grown at your kitchen garden. So there is an important message to prevent these diseases. And the second thing that happened was earlier we used to live in small villages, lot of worms and germs used to live with us in harmony. And that harmony got disturbed because now the so-called Swachha Bharat, so people became hygiene conscious. This hygiene hypothesis is that once you don't mingle with germs and worms, what happens is your body will fight against yourself, and these diseases came up.
So we should be hygienic, but not
And not
that
to that extent,
you being kind of obsessive and compulsive.
obsession should not be there
Should
because
not be.
everything will have two coins. Everything, the coin have two sides. So other side of the coin. This earlier we used to suffer from decreased nutrition, malnutrition. Now we are suffering from excessive nutrition. In our clinic, we used to see once in a year, 3 or 4 patients who are more than 100 kg. Then nowadays I am seeing every day 3 to 4 patients. Then I wrote a poem on obesity. I'm good at poetry in Telugu. And then COVID came. People started eating more to prevent the attack. Nothing, nowhere to do exercise because of the lockdowns. Then people every day, now every morning I'm seeing 3 patients. Even 3 patients are their relatives who are more than 100 kg. So the biggest problem is the obesity now. It's a lifestyle disease. And then obesity is associated with, diabetes, hypertension, heart problem, knee problem, and of course, our problem is liver problem. So people used to believe earlier days that alcohol only will damage the liver. Excessive fat in obesity also will damage the liver and produce cirrhosis of the liver. So now the future, the biggest candidate for transplant, liver transplant will be people with obesity, not alcohol, not hepatitis B, not hepatitis C. Because hepatitis B, we have vaccine, which is going to prevent it. And hepatitis C, we have good drugs. In 3 months, we can cure hepatitis C. So the future will be alcohol and obesity. So things have changed from earlier B and C, now A and O. A is alcohol and O is obesity.
3 best dietary advice that you would give.
So the Deepak Chopra wrote a book, Ageless Body and Timeless Mind.
Yes.
In that book, he quoted some article published. What they found was the people who live longer, healthy life, they eat breakfast. They don't eat in between meals. They will maintain ideal body weight. They don't smoke and they don't drink excessively. So these are the 5-6 things which make a people healthy. So what I'll believe that especially in South India, people eat a lot of rice. And this rice will kill because you'll have different portions. Initially chutney, then pappu, that is dal, then rasam, then curd, then dessert. There are 5-6 portions which are eating, which are not required at this, the way we are working. Those days when the people are working in fields, they can eat a lot. That is how the diet is designed. So unfortunately, that diet food we are eating is more than what is required. So now I'm doing some experiment on 6-pack. So the 6 principles of 6-pack are: number 1, you should spend more calories than what you eat. Second, you should eat mostly protein and least amount of carbs and no carbs in the night. And number 3, you should do core training, push-ups, pull-ups, some game to core strengthening. And number 4, sleep for 6 to 7 hours per day, uninterruptedly. And most important, eat nutrients like extra micronutrients like whey protein, then omega-3 fatty acids, creatine, supplements. And the most important, the last one, 6th one, is don't listen to anybody, including your wife, a spouse.
Especially about food.
Food. So these are things which I learned to do a 6-pack.
You told about literature, like Telugu literature. How did you get interested about to get into the literature?
Actually, this same question was asked by Dr. Raghurama Rao, who runs an organization called Visakha Rasajna Vedika. He asked me, how you're a doctor?
Busy doctor.
doctor, how could you write poetry? Then I told him, my house is near a Brahmin settlement in my village. On the edge of my farm is my house. It's a Brahmin settlement. So the interaction with the wise people. The second important point is drinking Godavari water. That is River Godavari. People from East Godavari, Nannaya is from East, who translated Mahabharata, Devulapalli Krishna Shastri. They are all from East Godavari. So Challapalli Venkata Shastri, Tirupati Venkata Kavalu. So people believe if you drink Godavari water, you will get poetry. If you drink Krishna water, you will become a great businessman. In Telugu literature, there are a lot of knowledge. Vayamana, Sumati Satakam, Bhartruhari Subhashitalu, then Nannaya, Tikkana. There are a lot of messages, morals in those poems. Unfortunately, you are not able to impart that knowledge to the young generation. So, what I believe strongly is the primary education should be in the mother tongue. It is true, it is happening all over the world, in Germany, in Japan, in Russia. They read in their own language. The problem is English medium. What happens? What English medium they can teach? They won't teach about John Milton. They won't teach about Socrates. They won't teach about Aristotle. They won't teach about Pluto. If they teach about those great scholars, then you get knowledge. What they teach in English, Jack and Jill went up the hill. So what happens is they won't learn English. They won't learn Telugu. That's what happens. So I know what I am interested in Telugu, I am propagating Telugu language. Propagating Telugu. That's the reason why I wrote this book. And this book I wrote to educate my patients also on obesity, on alcoholism, on smoking, and of course on my travels. So
you have about everything, in fact.
About and another thing I believe in life is you should have different facets of life. Just life is not like just white light. Life is a rainbow. Rainbow, different colors, 7 colors. You should enjoy life like a rainbow. Rainbow enjoy, you don't like enjoy white light. Similarly, there will be different facets of life. So you should do everything. You should keep yourself fit. You should travel. You should eat good food. You should enjoy life in all aspects, not only one profession. That there are two, right brain and left brain. Most of our your oncology or my gastroenterology, you use the left brain. After a certain age, you start using right brain. Whether it is photography, your passion, or literature is my passion. So then the life will be balanced. You should develop both brains, left brain and right brain. The brain will be balanced. Both the brains. That's the so now though my now fascination is for Telugu is, so I'm a little selfish. In the sense, I teach my students also, you should be partial to yourself. Then you should be partial to your immediate family. Then you should be partial to the profession which you are pursuing. And you should be partial to the city where you are living. And you should be partial to the country. In the same order, don't change the order. That's what I teach. So in that same pursuit, I'm partial to myself in the sense, why I'm pursuing the 5 things which I told just now. The tendency is to make myself fit, physically fit. I reduced 20 kg of my weight in the last 15 years. How? First 10 years, I followed 2 principles. No exercise, no food. More food, more exercise. It's not so simple. Then next 5 years, I followed third principle, less food and more exercise. So, this makes me fit because I can do more exercise, burn more calories. So then Telugu literature, I'm writing a piece means I'm thinking. So my brain will be active. So keep my brain active. Then why I'm traveling? My teacher once told me, those days teachers are great. One teacher told me, his name is Prasanna Rao. He told me, if you want to build a character, you should build the character from the beginning. The character is like a bamboo stick. If you mold it at a very tender age, the bamboo stick is used to make a palanquin. And palanquin is used to carry god and goddess. It is used to carry bride and bridegroom those days when there are no cars. It used to carry king and queen when they travel from distance to long distances. So palanquin is used for good purposes, auspicious purposes. If you don't mold the tender bamboo at a very young age, it will become brittle. It will become hard. And it is used to make a padi and Telugulo antaru. It is used to carry dead bodies. So character is like that. If you don't mold the character at a very young age, it will become like a, what should you call, padi to carry dead bodies.
They will get they break easily.
And the same teacher told me, you get knowledge 3 ways. Bahugrantha Patanam, reading books. Bahu Pranta Darsanam, seeing places. Bahu Buddha Sampark, interacting with wise people. So what I did was, in the last 30 years, I am traveling a lot. So to Europe, to USA, to Australia, to Japan, to Russia. When I travel long distance in a flight, so I'll read 2 books. Going 1 book and returning 1 book. So I read books. Bahu Grantha Patanam is over. I interact with people there because I don't follow this travel companies. I don't follow Cox and Kings or some 3-4 companies are make my trip. So I'll do my own itinerary. I'll interact with people there, local people there. I eat their food. What food they eat, I eat. And then I see places. So all 3 are over with 1 trip. So now travel gives me knowledge and happiness and relaxation from my regular routine. And then but the last thing why I teach is because sharing knowledge is a great thing in life.
Otherwise it becomes tubular.
And teaching a 2-way process. Not only I will teach, I will learn also from my students. So of course, treating the knowledge which I get, I should useful for my patients.
So best thing that one you told about the character, I believe nowadays our children, we are kind of maybe out of love or out of the society. The present day children are more pampered. They are exposed to less kind of the competition or whatever. And later on, maybe when they go to face the real challenge in the life,
they'll be in trouble.
They may not be able to really face that.
So that because too much pampering, because I see now most of the children, the present day education, the 2 problems which I face. Because as I told you, I taught MBBS students and MD students and DM students. This present education system, what happens is, number 1, they don't teach morals. Parents think that teaching morals is not our job, it is teacher's job. Teacher thinks that morals are not in the syllabus, I will not teach. So morals are not taught. So we then develop a useless society. The second problem which I face with the present education system is the so-called Chaitanya, Narayana, etc., etc. So they make the people by heart. They don't allow the student to question, think. And thinking is the most important attribute of human being. So that is suppressed. So there are 2 problems which and actually you learn just by experience. As I was mentioning, we conduct a lot of conferences. So what I learned is about management, is how to manage people. First, there are 4 steps in management. I am not an MBA graduate. First level of management is you manage yourself. Get up early, do cycling or tennis, you make yourself fit. So manage yourself first, the first level of management. The second level of management is manage the people under you, your assistant professor, your postgraduate, your student, to stimulate them, encourage them, inspire them to work more, produce more, and for benefit the patient. So that is second level of management, which I learned as a professor or assistant professor. The third level of management I learned as vice principal Andhra Medical College is when you have some authority, people doesn't want to work, people doesn't want to learn. So make them work, make them learn is the third level of management. And the fourth level of management I learned when I made 2 movies. I was a producer. That was 10 years back when my son is an actor. So we made 2 movies in Hyderabad. I was sitting in Visakhapatnam and managing there. So there's the fourth level of management. So how this how I learned in a hard way.
In fact, even in our day-to-day life, also being doctors, we have to be good managers also.
Yes, yes. To manage your clinic.
Management,
Uh,
time management,
uh,
they are very, very important in everything.
they're
Like
not taught in the school.
not in the school,
School.
because
So
you not only practice, you do exercise 4 hours to for 6 hours a day. You do your practice every day religiously. Go at that time and come back. You read the books, and also at the same time you teach students. So definitely that time management which you have learned over the years,
will
they
help.
have
They'll help.
they help.
And another important thing which people should understand is there are three phases of life, anybody's life. So we'll not go eternally forever. In our ancient philosophy also, Balyamu, Kaumaramu, Yavanamu, Vardhakyamu. So there are four phases of life. So that divided like that in our Hindu philosophy. So what I strongly believe is there are three phases of life in anybody's life: art of living, art of leading, and art of leaving. Unfortunately, many people will not learn the third one. First two things they will learn: art of living, art of leading they will learn, art of leaving they will not learn.
Leaving means
Leaving to the leaving. So
leaving.
leaving to the other person. So the problem then there will be dispute between the father and the son. Father will not leave the business to the son. Dispute between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. The mother-in-law will not give the keys to the daughter-in-law. The boss and the subordinate. So once you learn the art of living, so then you will be very peaceful in life, very happy in life. So you should understand that happiness is not outside. Happiness is inside. So if you, after 60 years or 70 years, you should have less burden in your brain, less burden on the tummy.
Yes.
You should not accumulate fat and money.
Correct. Before we end, sir, what are the few points that you want to tell young doctors in the present day?
Uh, so my advice to the young doctors is uh, to take care of yourself first. You are important, your family is important, not only your patient. Then you can take care of the patient better. So you should have a balance in your lifestyle. So you do exercise regularly, eat in moderation, start traveling, keep some holidays, maybe Sundays, and then that's how you balance your life. You should not be bothered about only practicing gastroenterology, oncology, or neurology, nephrology. Second important advice is please listen to the patient. Please talk to the patients. Please examine the patient. Don't rush toward investigations. In India, we can't afford to do all the investigations. If you examine the patient, that's what I teach my students also, then your investigation will be focused. You did not do extensive investigations. Depending upon what you listen from the patient, what you examine and get a diagnosis, provisional diagnosis, you can rationalize your investigation. Then the patient will have faith in you. Patient will not doubt you. So that is the second important advice I want to. So the most important is trust between people say Vaidyo Narayano Hari. It is not totally true. Vaidyo Narayano Hari. Vaidyasya Jeevanam Dukkham Paradukkhena Dukkhate. The doctor who feels the pain of the patient is only the doctor who is a God. ఎవడైతే మిగతా వాళ్ళ కష్టాలను తన కష్టంగా భావించి వైద్యం చేస్తాడో వాడే నారాయణుడు. వైద్యో నారాయణ హరి ఈజ్ నాట్ టోటలీ ట్రూ. వైద్యస్య జీవనం దుఃఖం పరదుఃఖేన దుఃఖతే. Similarly, my artistic in life is very simple. Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam, mahatmanam. Whoever it is, whoever having things in his heart, should talk the same thing, he should do the same thing. The Valmiki told this. Manas anyat, vachas anyat, karman anyat, duratmana. To my mind, whoever talks something, have something in his heart and does something else is a bad person. I don't bother whether he's a minister, doctor, IAS officer or somebody. So it is my yardstick in life. And you should keep yourself Always fill your brain with positive thoughts. What Swami Rama told in his book, Living with Himalayan Masters. Fill your brain with positive thoughts. You'll be happy and healthy. The doctor or a patient. And keep away from negative people. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Sakatam Panchahasteshu, Vajanam Dasahasteshu, Gajam Hastasahastreshu, Durjanam Doram Chajet. So you should be away from a bad person any distance of time, any distance of kilometers. So you'd be away from bad people, away from bad thoughts. And don't bother about what people think about you. Don't bother. So I wrote a small poem in Telugu. నచ్చింది తింటా నచ్చినట్టుంటా ఎదుటివాడికి నచ్చినట్టుంటే ఎదనండా కార్చిచ్చమంటే. So I should be happy with myself. Many people try to live for others' sake. What others think about me. A lion should not lose sleep on the opinion of others. So you are a lion. If you don't commit any mistake, you are truthful to yourself, then you do not bother about what other people think about you. They usually think good about you. Even if you don't think good about you, don't bother about that. So keep yourself happy.
Be a good human being.
Be a good human being. That's it.
Be a good human being is a good doctor.
Good doctor. Agree with you.
Thank you, sir. And a great session. In fact, I'm sure all the listeners will enjoy and learn a lot of things. And before I sign off, I would like to request you to please do subscribe and do write your comments. Also, critics are welcome, and we will try to improve in our forthcoming episodes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suman, and thank the viewers. Thank you.